My boyfriend and I had been together for 7 years, and we finally decided to get married. But on the day we were getting married at City Hall, he pushed his brother in front of me instead. Grace, my brother's girlfriend, passed away unexpectedly, leaving him with a child. You know how heartbreaking it is for children who grow up in single-parent homes. How about you marry my brother instead? It would give the child a complete home. I stared at my boyfriend in disbelief. Ethan, what does your brother's child have to do with me? I'm in a relationship with you, not him. This isn't April Day. You'd better think this through before making such a decision. My boyfriend's brows furrowed slightly, and just as he was about to speak, his brother cut in. Grace, don't blame my brother. Blame yourself for being unable to have children due to your poor health. You should know, my brother has achieved great success now, and my mother would never agree to a flawed woman like you being his wife. If you still want to marry into our family, you'll have to marry me. Seeing my boyfriend's silence, I simply laughed in anger. He probably forgot who he relied on to climb to his current position. Ethan saw me smile and, thinking I had given in, immediately stepped forward and grabbed my hand. Grace, I knew you were the most understanding. My brother is a grown man. He has no idea how to raise a child. This kind of thing really needs a woman's touch. Don't worry, I'll definitely make it up to you in the future. I stared at him and retorted, isn't your mother a woman too? Why doesn't she raise the child? Ethan's face stiffened for a moment, then he actually became indignant. My mother worked tirelessly to raise my brother and me. It wasn't easy. She should be enjoying her golden years, not working hard again. He leaned in closer, lowering his voice. My mother said that since you don't need to have children, the wedding expenses contribution is waived, and your family doesn't need to prepare a financial gift from parents. It's like saving your family some money. Saving money? It looked to me like they just wanted a free nanny. I suddenly felt like I had been completely blind for the past 7 years. Over the years, for the sake of his company, I secretly connected them with numerous investments and projects. This allowed his company, to leap to become an industry leader in just a few short years, making him the Ethan worth hundreds of millions today. But now that he had achieved great success, this was how he chose to repay me. It was truly a case of casting pearls before swine. I took a deep breath and asked in a cold voice, since you've already decided not to marry me, why didn't you tell me sooner? Ethan scratched his head, a little embarrassed. Well, it's just, I saw how much you like children, so I wanted to give you a surprise. My stomach churned, and I felt sick. Seeing my pale face, Ethan quickly tried to persuade me. Grace, listen to me. Lovers eventually become family. If you marry my brother, we'll still be family. Our relationship won't change at all, as long as you treat my brother and the child well, and respect my mother. I promise I'll treat you just as I always have. Stunned speechless by his twisted logic, I simply shook his hand off. Ethan, listen to me clearly. Grace, will absolutely not marry your brother. With that, I turned and walked away, but he panicked, rushing to block my path. Grace, can't you just understand me this one time, for the sake of our 7 years together? I stopped and looked at the face I had loved for 7 years. I told him, word for word, Ethan, we are completely over. Just as I was about to leave, Liam, who had been silent until then, suddenly rushed forward and shoved the infant in a swaddling blanket into my arms. Caught off guard, my arms suddenly felt heavy, and I instinctively tried to hold on tight, but the child was so small and soft that it instantly slipped from my grasp. A collective gasp rose from the crowd around us. Ethan quickly rushed forward and narrowly caught the child. The baby's cry erupted, immediately drawing the attention of everyone nearby. Immediately after, Liam dropped to his knees in front of me with a thud. He clutched my leg, howling tearfully. Grace, how could you be so cruel? How could you abandon me and our child? Our child? His shameless words almost incensed me to the point of choking. Passersby, unaware of the truth, began to point and whisper about me. What's wrong with women these days? She looks so glamorous, but her heart is so cruel. She gave birth to the child and still denies it. Even dropping her own flesh and blood, she's practically inhuman. Poor kid's dad, Ethan, holding the child, quickly pulled me aside and tried to persuade me in a low voice. Grace, stop making a scene, so many people are watching. It looks terrible. A child can't be without a mother, and you're unable to have children anyway. Marry my brother, raise this child together, and it will see you as its real mother. When you're old, you'll have someone to care for you in old age. Isn't that a win-win? A surge of rage welled up inside me. Unable to bear it any longer, I slapped him hard across the face with all my might. I glared at him, my voice trembling as I exclaimed, Ethan, have you completely forgotten why I'm unable to have children? 3 years ago, Ethan was out with friends, celebrating project success with drinks, drinking until midnight. Worried, I went to pick him up. When I arrived, I saw him staggering alone in the middle of the street. An out-of-control car was speeding towards him. Without a second thought, I rushed forward and pushed him out of the way. I, however, was violently hit and thrown flying by the car. When I woke up in the hospital, the doctor told me that due to the severe impact, my uterus had suffered permanent damage, making my chances of having children extremely slim for the rest of my life. Ethan held me then, his eyes red from crying. He repeated to me again and again, Grace, I love you for who you are. Having children or not doesn't matter. If we're unable to have children, we'll be a happy dink couple. I swear, I will treat you well and double my love for you for the rest of my life. His past vows still echoed in my ears. But now that he had achieved great success, he was starting to disdain me, this flawed woman. Ethan touched his reddened face. A flicker of guilt crossed his eyes, then was quickly replaced by impatience. Grace, I advise you to think clearly. You're not getting any younger, and you're unable to have children. Do you really think any good man would want you? My letting my brother marry you is already out of consideration for you saving my life back then. Don't be ungrateful. My heart sank to rock bottom at that moment. I stared at him coldly. Ethan, if you dare to bother me again, I'll call the police. I returned home in a daze, collapsing onto the soft sofa. My phone rang. It was Richard calling. Grace, did you get married? How did it go? Was it smooth? My nose stung, and I choked back tears as I told him everything that had happened that day in front of City Hall. There was a long silence on the other end, followed by Richard's voice, trembling with anger. That scoundrel. Ethan, that ungrateful wretch. I must have been blind back then, thinking he was an honest man. I never should have let you be with him. Susan snatched the cell phone, comforting me with tenderness. Grace, don't cry, don't be sad. It's a blessing we realize what kind of beast he was before the wedding. Otherwise, who knows how much heartache you would have endured after marrying him. I wiped away my tears, sniffed, and told Richard, Dad, I want to withdraw all investment and project support from Ethan's company. Then I hesitated, but this involves cooperation between the companies, and I'm worried it might affect our own. The Richard, however, interrupted me dismissively. What do you mean affect? Our family doesn't need that little money. If anyone dares to bully Richard's daughter, I'll make sure he faces severe consequences. Grace, go for it. I'll always have your back. I'm booking a flight home immediately. Don't be afraid, Dad is coming to help you. No sooner had I hung up with Richard than Brenda, Ethan's mother, called. Grace, you shameless slut, you barren hen. I was kindly trying to give you a way out, and you're just taking advantage? Do you really think being a wealthy heiress makes you so special? Let me tell you, marrying into the family is a blessing you've accumulated over 8 lifetimes. Before she could say anything more, I interrupted. Brenda, this blessing of a lifetime? Keep it, whoever wants it can have it. I just wonder if anyone will dare to marry your 2 precious sons in the future. With that, I hung up, not giving her another chance to speak. Soon after, Ethan's cell phone rang. I didn't answer, but he kept calling again and again. I immediately blocked his number. Soon, text messages popped up. Grace, apologize to my mother immediately. You've upset her so much she's almost having a heart attack. For the sake of our 7 years together, if you apologize, I'll let bygones be bygones. Regarding the embarrassment you caused Liam and me at City Hall today, I looked at the message, finding it utterly ironic. Immediately after, he sent a photo of a sleeping baby. Look how cute the child is. As long as you're willing to repent and properly apologize to my mother and my brother, I can still leave this chance to be a mother for you. Grace, stop being so stubborn. I stared at the baby's face, my stomach churning violently. I only replied with 3 words, psycho. Then, I completely blocked all his contact information. For the next few days, I holed up at home, not wanting to go anywhere. That afternoon, as I was resting, the smart lock on my door suddenly emitted a series of beeps. My heart tightened, and I immediately sat up from the sofa. I quietly walked to the door and peered through the digital peephole. Standing at the door were none other than Ethan, Liam, and his mother, Brenda. All 3 of their faces were utterly grim. A wave of fear washed over me. I was thankful that the first thing I did when I got home that day was change the door lock's password. When the password didn't open the door, Ethan began to furiously bang on it. Grace, open the door. I know you're in there. What have you done, you bitch? Why have all my business partners suddenly terminated their contracts with me? I couldn't be bothered with him. I turned to grab my cell phone, planning to call building management to have security escort these mad dogs away, but just then, with a click, the door lock was open from the outside. My mind buzzed, instantly going blank. I then realized that Ethan had secretly made a spare key for this door without my knowledge. The moment the door opened, Ethan stormed in like a madman. He snatched my cell phone and violently smashed it on the floor, its screen shattering instantly. Liam and Brenda followed close behind, bursting in. You bitch. My career, which I worked so hard for all these years, you've completely ruined it. Ethan slapped me, sending me tumbling to the floor. My ears rang, and half my face instantly went numb. Still not satisfied, he and his brother Liam began to punch and kick me as I lay on the floor. A barrage of pain erupted from every part of my body. I curled up on the floor, completely helpless. Brenda stood by, not only not stopping them but clapping and cheering, cursing maliciously. Hit her hard, let her ruin my sons, let her destroy our family. After a while, Brenda seemed to think it wasn't enough to satisfy her rage. Her eyes suddenly darted, and she said, son, stop hitting her. If you hurt her too badly, she won't be worth anything. Liam, you go, just do her. Take some photos and videos, then she'll have no choice but to marry you. Her father, Richard, only has her, his precious only daughter. Once she marries into our family, wouldn't everything from the family become ours? I was chilled to the bone, as if plunged into an ice pit. I looked at Ethan in despair, begging with my last ounce of strength, Ethan, for my sake, for the sake of me once saving your life, please let me go. I promise you, I'll beg Richard to continue investing in you. Hearing about the investment, Ethan hesitated. He reached out and helped me up from the floor. His hand touched my face, and he sighed. Grace, if only you had been this obedient earlier. I thought he had softened, but then he continued, it's a shame. I gave you chances, but you didn't know how to appreciate them. With that, he roughly shoved me into the bedroom, then gave Liam a significant look. Liam, do it. Watching the bedroom door slowly close, I plunged into complete despair. Liam advanced toward me with a sinister grin, tearing at my clothes while whispering in my ear, Grace, do you know, I've liked you since the first time I saw you. Too bad you were my brother's girlfriend. I couldn't make a move when I found out my brother was going to marry you. I was so jealous I almost went crazy. I just never thought my brother would be so stupid. I just made up an excuse, found a child from outside, and claimed it was left by my ex-girlfriend, and my brother believed it. He even willingly gave you up to me. I wanted to fight back, but after their brutal beating, my whole body felt like it was falling apart, and I couldn't muster an ounce of strength. Aren't you afraid your brother will find out? So what if he finds out? By then, you'll already be my wife, and it'll be too late for him to regret it. Seeing me struggle, Liam impatiently held me down. Stop struggling. Just do what I say, and you'll suffer less. Just then, the bedroom door was kicked open from the outside. Immediately after, Liam was sent flying by a powerful kick, slamming hard against the wall. I heard a familiar voice roar, bastard. How dare you touch my daughter? I'll kill you. Richard, my father, after kicking Liam away, rushed forward in a furious rage and relentlessly beat him. Every punch landed hard, leaving Liam helpless and able only to cradle his head and shriek. Several black-suited bodyguards following behind him swiftly burst into the living room, quickly subduing Ethan and Brenda, who were panicked and trying to escape. Immediately after, Richard took off his suit jacket and hurried to my side, wrapping me tightly in it as I still trembled. He held me, looking at the slap marks on my face and the blood at the corner of my mouth. The murderous intent in his eyes was almost palpable. Don't be afraid, Grace, Dad's here. His voice was trembling. Dad. I couldn't hold it in any longer and burst into loud sobs in his arms. Soon, the police and an ambulance arrived one after another. I was carefully lifted onto a stretcher by medical personnel and taken to the hospital for examination and evidence collection. The 3 scoundrels from the family were criminally detained on the spot by the police for multiple charges, including illegal entry, intentional assault, and attempted sexual assault. In the VIP hospital room, the doctor tended to my injuries. Richard remained by my bedside, his face ashen. He told me that the reason he arrived so quickly was that he was worried about me. After getting off the plane, he came straight to my home and unexpectedly walked in on the scene. He held my hand, his voice filled with heartache and self-reproach. Grace, it's Dad's fault. I didn't protect you well enough. I shook my head, and tears fell again. A moment later, Richard suddenly spoke. By the way, Grace, there's something I haven't told you. The core technology patent that Ethan's firm relies on for its existence has actually always been held by a subsidiary under the family. Back then, seeing how much you liked him, I prepared that subsidiary along with the patent, intending to give it to you as a financial gift from parents when you got married. I was stunned. It turned out that Ethan's proud and vital business empire, its very lifeline, had been in my hands from the beginning. Richard held my uninjured hand, a hint of ruthlessness flashing in his eyes. Now, Grace, I ask you, should we immediately activate the patent barrier? With just one call from me, his company, could become a debt-ridden shell overnight. I lowered my head. Looking at the bruised and purple contusions on my arms, I remembered Ethan's cold face, Brenda's malicious scheming, and Liam's twisted desires. All the love, resentment, and grievances, at this moment, transformed into a chilling coldness that penetrated to my very core. I looked up, meeting Richard's gaze with icy eyes. Dad, I want to see him. Utterly crushed, Richard immediately took out his cell phone and made a call. Go ahead, activate all contingency plans. I want Ethan's firm to disappear completely. The next day, as the stock market opened, Ethan's firm was immediately suspended from trading and investigated due to the shocking scandal of a core technology patent ownership dispute. All partner banks, catching wind of the news, rushed to call in loans and freeze accounts. Suppliers blocked the entrance of demanding payment for their goods. His seemingly indestructible business empire, with a single word from me, began to collapse like a domino effect. It was immensely satisfying. I thought the matter would be settled then and there. To my surprise, the family relatives, desperate to protect them, paid a huge price to have both Brenda and Ethan on bail. Only, with the most serious charges, remained in the detention center. As soon as they were out, they immediately gathered a group of unscrupulous journalists and staged a meticulously planned tearjerker at the hospital entrance. Brenda wept heartbreakingly in front of the cameras, fainting several times, like a helpless old woman bullied by thugs. Ethan, meanwhile, looked utterly haggard, with dark circles under his eyes and his arm in a cast, playing the role of a devoted victim betrayed and hurt by his beloved. They twisted the truth, tearfully accusing me in front of the cameras. They claimed that I, driven by love turned to hatred, suddenly demanded an exorbitant wedding expenses contribution on the day we were getting married, and insisted that Ethan transfer all shares of to my name. After refused, I supposedly became enraged. Ethan even confirmed publicly that I had actively tried to seduce his brother Liam and, failing that, became enraged and orchestrated the attempted sexual assault scenario to falsely accuse their entire family. To add credibility, they even maliciously edited photos from my hospital stay after the car accident, accompanying them with ambiguous texts, implying that my promiscuous lifestyle had led to my infertility. Immediately, the hashtag wealthy heiress, scorned lover, frames ex-boyfriend's family, fueled by their heavy investment, rapidly went viral across the entire internet like a virus. I was firmly nailed to the pillory of public opinion, enduring unprecedented cyberbullying. Countless insults and curses flooded towards me through the internet. Richard was so furious he almost smashed his cell phone, immediately wanting to use his connections to shut down all media outlets reporting on the matter. Dad, don't. I stopped him. He looked at me, surprised. Grace, you. I shook my head, my eyes unusually calm. Suppression will only lead to a bigger backlash. Don't they love to put on a show? Don't they love being in the spotlight? Then it'll give them an even bigger stage. I want the truth to completely overturn them at the peak of their arrogance. I had this PR team issue a statement in my name to the entire internet. In 3 days, I would hold a personal press conference, inviting all national media to attend, to confront Ethan and Brenda's family face to face. The event would be live-streamed online, and all truth would be revealed. I wanted them to clearly understand their downfall. 3 days later, at the press conference venue, I appeared, serene-faced, in a wheelchair with my arm in a cast, facing the cameras and microphones of hundreds of media outlets. Dozens of platforms across the internet simultaneously began live streaming. Flashbulbs popped ceaselessly, making it hard to open my eyes. Across from me sat an equally injured Ethan and Brenda, their eyes gleaming with triumph and malice, as if they already held victory in their grasp. They thought I was there today to beg for mercy. Facing their smug expressions, I wasted no words. First, please listen to an audio recording. I signaled my assistant, who pressed play. The next second, Brenda's sharp, malicious voice clearly echoed through the venue speakers, reaching every corner of the hall. Liam, you go, just do her. Take some photos and videos. Once she marries into our family, wouldn't everything from the family become ours? This audio, recorded by my apartment's smart security system, clearly replayed their malicious plan from that time. The venue instantly erupted in an uproar. All the reporters aimed their cameras at Ethan and Brenda in the audience. Their faces instantly turned ashen, and cold sweat streamed down. Next, I revealed the second piece of evidence. On the screen was the complete financial record of Ethan's firm from its inception to the present. Every startup fund, every source of investment for key projects, clearly pointed to my father's company. The group, Mr. Hayes repeatedly claimed to have started from scratch. So how do you explain these tens of millions in investments from my father's company? You're no self-made business elite. You're just a parasite who climbed to power by riding on my coattails, by riding on the family's. The chatter in the room grew louder. Ethan slumped in his chair, his face ashen. Finally, I released all the details of that car accident, which served as the last straw to break them. Ladies and gentlemen, do you remember Mr. Hayes's claim that my promiscuous lifestyle led to my infertility? On the screen, a video began to play. It was the dashcam footage from the offending vehicle back then. In the footage, a drunken Ethan staggered into the middle of the street, and I, without hesitation, rushed forward to push him out of the way. Immediately after, the screen violently shook, accompanied by the screech of brakes and my scream. The video finished playing. Subsequently, the hospital's diagnostic report appeared on the screen, stating clearly in black and white, patient, due to severe abdominal impact in a car accident, suffered permanent uterine damage, making future conception extremely unlikely. I picked up the microphone, looked into the camera, and at the two stunned people in the audience, my voice calm yet powerful. I saved his life. For 7 years, I stood by him, from having nothing to achieving great success. Now, he uses my sacrifice as a weapon to humiliate and attack me. I ask you, Ethan, does your conscience not ache? The live stream audience instantly surpassed 100 million, and servers from major online platforms crashed one after another. Brenda and Ethan were swarmed by enraged reporters and citizens who had breached security, and the scene quickly spiraled out of control. The press conference venue descended into chaos. Police, alerted to the situation, rushed into the venue, ready to rearrest Brenda and Ethan, whose lies were exposed and crimes revealed. Brenda was tackled to the ground by several agitated citizens and quickly subdued by the police. Ethan, however, took advantage of the chaos, violently pushed through the crowd, and like a fugitive, fled and vanished into the masses in an instant. He became an on-the-run suspect. Although I had increased my security, I still had an ominous feeling, as if a poisonous snake was watching me. A few days later, I went out alone to discuss a project with a partner. Just as my car was traveling down a secluded road, a minivan suddenly swerved out from the side, causing a minor rear-end collision. The moment my driver got out to check the situation, several masked men rushed out of the minivan, forcefully pulled open the car door, and clapped an ether-soaked towel over my mouth and nose. I struggled for only a few seconds before losing consciousness. When I woke up again, I found myself in an abandoned factory, my hands and feet tied to a chair with ropes. Ethan stood before me, his eyes bloodshot, looking utterly crazed. Seeing me awake, he dropped to his knees in front of me with a thud. Grace, I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. He clutched my leg, weeping and begging for my forgiveness. It's all my mother's fault. It's all my brother's fault. They were blinded by greed. They incited me. That's why I did those despicable things. He completely shifted all the blame. He cried, saying he wouldn't care that I was unable to have children. He wouldn't care about anything. Grace, please, for the sake of our 7 years together, forgive me this one time. Let's run away together. Go somewhere no one knows us, and start over, okay? I looked at the face I had once deeply loved, now finding it utterly repulsive and unfamiliar. His face was etched with selfishness, cowardice, and madness. I stared at him indifferently and uttered 2 words, dream on. My refusal became the final straw that broke him. The pleading on his face instantly vanished, replaced by a desperate madness. He abruptly stood up, pulled a knife from his clothes, pressed it against my neck, and shrieked, Grace, you forced my hand. Since we can't live together, Then let's die together. We'll be a ghost couple. Just then, the factory gates were violently crashed open from the outside. Bang! Bodyguards and police rushed in simultaneously, instantly surrounding Ethan. Don't move. Drop your weapon. The knife in Ethan's hand clattered to the floor. He was instantly pinned to the ground by several police officers. The moment he was subdued, he looked at me, and tears of regret finally streamed from his eyes. But alas, it was too late for everything. Ethan's attempted kidnapping added to his crimes. With this, the family had completely lost any chance of recovery. Liam, held in the detention center, learned of his brother's insane actions from his lawyer. To secure a plea bargain for a reduced sentence, he voluntarily confessed to the police that the infant was not his biological child but was picked up from the roadside. Based on the clues provided by Liam, the police swiftly acted and arrested the heartless mother who had abandoned her own flesh and blood. When, in the state, received this news and realized he had been completely deceived by his mother and brother from beginning to end, merely upon they used to seize the family's assets, his mind completely broke. Reportedly, he went completely insane in the state, sometimes crying, sometimes laughing, continuously muttering my name. The unscrupulous media outlets that had wildly slandered me for traffic and money now humbly published apology letters on their respective front-page headlines. Before the trial, all the relatives of the family, fearing implication, scrambled to publish statements in the newspaper, declaring they would sever all ties with Ethan's family. The family was completely abandoned by all. I went to the state and met Liam once, separated by thick glass. He had a shaved head, wore a prison uniform, and looked utterly haggard. All his former arrogance gone. Seeing me, he repented tearfully, repeating I'm sorry over and over. I simply watched him calmly. Your repentance shouldn't be directed at me. You should say it to the child you used as a tool. With that, I stood up and left without looking back. On the day of the courthouse trial, I sat in the front row of the spectators' gallery. These three people before me, once so arrogant. Brenda's hair had turned white overnight. She was hunched over, her eyes sunken. She trembled ceaselessly, her hands and feet shaking. Liam hung his head. His shoulders slumped. He secretly glanced at me, then immediately lowered his gaze again. Ethan wasn't present. I heard he had gone insane, crying and laughing in the detention center, muttering my name. How ironic. The judge's voice, as he read the verdict, was cold. Defendant, convicted of inciting sexual assault, defamation, and child trafficking, is sentenced to life imprisonment for multiple offenses. Brenda slumped in her chair, wailing. Defendant, convicted of attempted sexual assault, child trafficking, and intentional assault, is sentenced to 25 years in prison. Liam's face went completely pale. He turned to look at me, his eyes filled with despair. Defendant, convicted of kidnapping, intentional assault, and commercial fraud, is sentenced to life imprisonment. As the judge's voice fell silent, enthusiastic applause erupted from the spectators' gallery. Walking out of the courthouse, reporters swarmed me, thrusting microphones in my face. Ms. Miller, how do you feel about this verdict? Have you forgiven them? What are your plans going forward? I ignored everyone, got straight into the car, and left. Through the car window, I saw Brenda being taken away by a police cruiser. She struggled wildly, shouting something unintelligible. Liam lowered his head, like a puppet drained of its soul. They deserved it. Back at the Richard was waiting for me. Grace, starting today, you officially take over the. I nodded. The group needed a new leader, and I was ready. A few months later, my secretary handed me a letter. This is from Ethan, sent from the state. I took the envelope. His familiar handwriting was on it. I didn't open it. I walked directly to the fireplace and tossed the letter in. Flames licked the paper as it slowly curled, blackened, and turned to ash. I picked up the red wine from the table and raised my glass to the flickering flames. To the deceased, love-struck Grace I once was. From now on, I would only live for myself. Time passed quickly. 2 years later, at a business banquet, I met Andrew. He was a young lawyer, gentle and refined, with exceptional conversation skills. Most importantly, the way he looked at me held admiration and respect. We started dating. He would bring me late-night snacks when I worked late and quietly keep me company when I was tired. He never tried to control me, nor did he feel threatened by my assertiveness. A year later, he proposed to me. Grace, I love everything about you, including your strength and independence. Will you marry me? I said yes. The wedding was low-key, attended only by our closest friends and family. Richard walked me down the aisle, tears in his eyes. My daughter has finally found true happiness. Soon after we were married, I discovered I was pregnant. The moment I received the test results, I was stunned. The doctor smiled and said, "Congratulations, Mrs. Miller. Your body has recovered wonderfully." It's truly a miracle. I touched my flat stomach, an unprecedented warmth welling up in my heart after a 10-month pregnancy. I gave birth to a healthy daughter. When she first opened her eyes, I cried. This was a gift I had earned with half a lifetime. A few days later, my lawyer gave me some news. Ethan committed suicide in the state, holding my daughter. I felt no ripple in my heart. That person had long since vanished from my life. Now, I have a loving husband, an adorable daughter, and a successful career. I finally became the person I always wanted to be, and those who once hurt me received what they deserved. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any thoughts about this story, feel free to share them in the comment section.